Good evening, everybody. I think you people will come connected soon. We have the continuation of the class. This is, as I mentioned, third period for Java, and whatever I discussed earlier, I will go with the continuation of that topic. You know, in the previous discussions, I told that computer is a machine working like human brain, and since it is a machine that works for doing our works, so it is necessary to give instructions for doing different works on that. I also told that computer, since is a digital machine that is controlled internally by switching signals or controlled by switching, and switching pattern is interpreted using binary numbers, since binary number is having the status 0 and 1, and switch is also having the status on and off. So one of the binary represents switch on and 0 of the binary represents switch off. So with the help of binary patterns, we can represent switching impulses or switching codes. And this way of interpretation is in a different way called that a computer is a machine that understands machine language. Then I told that working in machine language is a difficult task. Working with the binary codes is a difficult task, as it is difficult to understand the whole internal architecture of the computer machinery, and then to remember the switching impulses, because millions of impulses are working together to drive a particular task. So it is difficult to collect them all together and write them all together. So computer scientists developed the languages like we use the language for our communication, and those were called high level languages. And with the help of high level language, we develop methods. The tasks are interpreted in high level language, written in high level language. Method of the task is written in high level language, and then it is the task to be done by the computer is interpreted. Then I told the video is stopped. I think I will wait for a minute, then it will be necessary to restart, then only it will work. I suppose voice is going. So since network speed is slow, this video has stopped. Just wait a moment, otherwise I will restart the device. These are small difficulties that we face in online classes. Wait, I'm restarting the device. Yes, this has started. So we have the language in which we write the methods for the computers. They are called high level languages. Then for using high level language, I told that directly, since computer understands machine language and we are writing the methods in some other language, then ultimately there is a need of translator that translates the high level language code into machine language. Then that can be interpreted by the computer, understood by the computer, used by the computer to perform the specified task. And we have two types of language converters used. One is called compiler and another is called the interpreter. Compiler takes the whole high level language program once, checks for errors, and then if it is error free, then it is converted to machine language and returned back to the user. Then user, whenever needs to run the program, it uses that translated version of the method, and then the method is followed by the computer and the specific task is done. On the other hand, interpreter is working in a different way. Interpreter always sits between the computer and the method user has written, programmer has written, and it takes the lines of the method one by one, and when a particular line is found error free, interpreter translates it to the binary language, machine language, binary codes, and gives to the computer's microprocessor to get the task done. And this goes from top to down. First line is applied in this process, checking for errors, converting into machine language and given to the CPU for execution. Then it goes for the second line and the same process is repeated. For the third line, same process is repeated, and it goes from top to down, and finally the whole task is done. At any point of execution, wherever the error comes, wherever the line is not interpreted properly, then stops at that point, and it prompts for the removal of that error. Then the process goes onwards. Up to this I have discussed. Now let us come today specific to Java language, because that is the language you have to study in your syllabus. So today I will discuss the topic, the discussion related to Java. First of all, before going to discuss anything specific to Java, let me talk, or let me focus on this point, that whenever you put yourself to learn specific language, what you have to learn? What are the areas you cover for this learning? You know, in interpretation, we have only two types of interpretations. In the interpretation, we talk either about some object, like uh, only names are used for expressing the meaning of different things, and these names are of two types. One is the name of action. Yeah, first of all, one is the name of the objects. We have different thing around it. Then we have different names of different thing. It is a computer and projector and spotlight and screen and pen and writing pad and headphone, all these things, we have the name of different things. Whatever the languages you use, whatever the languages you know, different objects have different names. So particularly in, it is called noun. We have noun, the name of different things. And second thing is, the second type of interpretation is the actions. So we have in our interpretations objects and actions. In general language, you tell it as noun and verb. The whole interpretation which we make in our day-to-day life, whatever we talk, whatever we speak, whatever we write, it is ultimately the collection of verbs and nouns. It's ultimately the collection of verbs and nouns, and altogether it is called vocabulary. So whenever you go for learning a language, it is necessary to know its vocabulary. In that particular language, different items, either object or actions, are expressed by what combination of phonetics, what combination of letters are there to represent an action or to represent an object. So to learn a language, in order to learn a language, it is necessary to know its vocabulary. And second thing that you know for learning a language, second thing necessary is to know the rules under which, according to which, the vocabulary words are synthesized, combined together to make a particular expression. So let me write this. Expressions in any language is a combination of words. The words are kept mainly in two categories. First is, it represents different objects. It represents different objects. And second, it represents different actions. Object name is, in our day-to-day life, in general language, it is called a noun, and in our day-to-day life, in general language, it is called verb. For learning any language, Two things are necessary to learn. First is vocabulary. Word meaning, representing actions and objects. And second is grammar. It is the set of rules for combining words which make a specific sense. So these two things are necessary for the language. When you are learning Java, or when you are learning any high level language of the computer, as it is make similar to a human language. So when you go for learning a particular computer language, it is also necessary, like other languages, to know the vocabulary of that particular language and the actions of that particular language. For Java language also, in Java there are a large collection of words which have a specific meaning that can drive a particular task. You call it as commands. So you have to know in Java language that this particular command has this meaning. This particular command can drive this particular action on the computer. So the set of words. Also in Java, why we do programming, why we learn Java? For doing data processing tasks. So you have different kinds of data used in Java. Different kinds of data items are used, variables and constants and objects, classes, different things are there. So altogether they are the literals called. So again the same thing, since Java is a language, you have to learn its vocabulary, its grammar. In the vocabulary you have a set of different commands that can make sense of different actions taken, and you have different literals which represent different types of data items used for processing. It is the set of rules for combining words which makes a specific sense. As Java is a language for computer, we need to know different keywords different words specific to Java which represent some tasks to be done on the computer. Also, we need to learn the rules under which those words are synthesized to make the specific sense. We call it as syntax. We need to know the rules according to which the words are synthesized for a specific task. It is called syntax. Now about Java, there is one more thing, some specific things about Java. Java language is object-oriented programming language. This is specific to Java. Java is object-oriented प्रोग्रामिंग लैंग्वेज. इसका ऑब्जेक्ट ओरिएंटेड प्रोग्रामिंग is a specific technical term in computer world. It is called OOPS, standing for the full form object oriented programming system. This is a concept that makes us to understand and express a task as object. Now, what do you understand, or what we understand by understanding a task as object? When you think, last in the some previous class also I told you that object in our world, what we say object is a collection of sub objects. anything is made by some ingredients. That ingredient is also ultimately made by some other sub ingredients. Like, suppose this is the digital pen in my hand. This is digital pen in my hand. This is an object. This is made up of, let us say, its outer body, the electronic circuitry in it, the battery inside, the wire connections. So, outer body is an object, circuit is an object, battery is a separate object, wire is a separate object. Now, this body, if you consider, body is made up of some material like plastic material. Then plastic material is a combination of some elements. Some elements are ultimately the combination of electron, a proton, or neutron ultimately. That is the smallest object. Similarly, circuitry is having some electronic silicon chips on it. The connections are there. Electronic chips are made up of silicon. Silicon is again an element collection of electrons, protons, and neutrons. So there is the hierarchy of objects and sub-objects according to which certain object is synthesized. Chair is there, suppose chair is made, suppose wooden chair is there, then wooden chair is made up of wood. Nails, these two things are angles are there. Again, each object like nail is made up of iron. Iron is an element. Element is again the combination of electrons, protons, and neutrons. So whatever the object around you, if you consider yourself, you, a human body is an object. The human body is collection of so many organ systems inside. Each organ system is having sub organ systems in it. Sub organ system is made up of tissues and cells. Tissues and cells are ultimately made up of some elements. Elements are the collection of electrons, protons, and neutrons. So there is a complete hierarchy. Suppose this is an object, then it is made up of sub-objects. These sub-objects are made up of sub-objects. In object oriented, या ऐसे लिखे, an object is a collection of sub-objects. So, and there is a hierarchical arrangement of sub-objects to synthesize a specific object. Second, Each object has a special set of characteristics. Something is there around you, like this pen, then this pen is brown in color, this pen is long in size, this pen is having certain weight. So whatever the objects are there around you, it is tell the properties of this object. Then you can tell the properties of human being. तो भाई आदमी है, उसका दूगो हाथ होगा, दूगो पैर होगा, एंड वट एवर सिंग होगा, नहीं है ऐसा नहीं, जो है वही बोलेंगे, सिंग नहीं है आदमी में है. तो दैट विल नॉट बी, हॉर्न्स आर नॉट द कैरेक्टरिस्टिक्स ऑफ अ ह्यूमन बीइंग है. ग्रीन कलर इज नॉट द कैरेक्टरिस्टिक्स ऑफ ह्यूमन बीइंग. कभी कभी वो अमेरिकन फैशन शो में दिखाई पड़ता है हरा रंग का पेंट किया हुआ आदमी, ऐसा नहीं. That is not the specific, but by birth a human being is not of green color. So the color, the shape and the organs present in it, they are the characteristics of human being. तीन आंख वाला आदमी नहीं होता, आदमी को दो ही आंख होता है. So they are the characteristics of the object. So each and every object around you has a specific characteristics, and nothing in the world is useless. कोई भी ऑब्जेक्ट है, उस ऑब्जेक्ट का कुछ ना कुछ काम है. जैसे ये पेन इज फॉर राइटिंग, इट इज इट्स वर्क, इट इज यूज्ड फॉर राइटिंग ऑन द कंप्यूटर. द specs I am using, the glasses I am using, this has the work to focus the screen, to focus the monitor. So object is, if available, object in fact is synthesized. ऑब्जेक्ट बनाया ही जाता है किसी काम को ध्यान में रख करके. So object is synthesized for driving some task. तो हर ऑब्जेक्ट का एक कुछ ना कुछ यूज है, कुछ ना कुछ वो कर सकता है. ऑब्जेक्ट के साथ उसकी रिस्पॉन्सिबिलिटीज, ऑब्जेक्ट के साथ उसका वर्क एसोसिएटेड है और उसका कैरेक्टरिस्टिक्स एसोसिएटेड है. सो दिस इज द फर्स्ट पार्ट. एंड सेकेंड पार्ट इज the object has some purpose associated to it. हर ऑब्जेक्ट से हर पर्पस पूरा नहीं हो सकता. अब जैसे मैं कुर्सी पर बैठा हुआ हूं या पेन मैं यूज कर रहा हूं, दिस इज नॉट यूज्ड फॉर ईटिंग पर्पस. ये खाने के काम नहीं आ सकता. दिस इज यूज्ड, चेयर इज यूज्ड फॉर सिटिंग, पेन इज यूज्ड फॉर राइटिंग. सिमिलरली इफ यू हैव अ पोटैटो, दैट इज एडिबल थिंग, तो पोटैटो का प्रयोग करके आप लिखेंगे नहीं, पोटैटो का प्रयोग करके आप बैठेंगे नहीं. दैट इज यूज्ड फॉर ईटिंग. So this is to understand that object has a specific purpose associated to it. Similarly, if you think of a task, this approach of understanding a task, understanding an object, this approach of understanding an object is, when applied, to tasks or methods, method मत लिखो, to tasks, then पहला, a particular task is composed of subtasks and arrangement of tasks can, is made to express a particular task. And second is every task has a specific set of characteristics or properties, and purposes for which the task is written. इसको हम बोलेंगे methods. तो ये approach of representing a task, this approach of writing a task is called object-oriented programming systems. कि whenever you have to write a task, you define, जैसे अच्छा जैसे कि बात हम बाद में करेंगे, ऑब्जेक्ट का जो अप्रोच है उसको ध्यान में रखकर जब कोई टास्क की बात की जाती है, मेथड की बात की जाती है, ये मेथड और टास्क, यहाँ मेथड एक्चुअली टेक्निकल वर्ड है जो मैंने यहाँ पर लिख दिया है, मेथड के बारे में बात तो हम बाद में करेंगे, इसलिए मैं मेथड बार बार बोल करके वापस ले रहा हूं कि टास्क ही हम बोलें कि टास्क जब लिखेंगे तो उसको हम ऑब्जेक्ट की तरह समझते हैं। अब यहां पर एक चीज और समझने का है कि when you are going to create an object, मान लिया आप कोई मॉडल बना रहे हैं, तो मॉडल बनाते समय सबसे पहले आप डिफाइन करेंगे कि मॉडल कैसा होगा। मान लिया आपको बताया गया लेट अस से कंप्यूटर, आपने कंप्यूटर देखा नहीं है, लेट अस अज्यूम, और ये कहा गया कि एक ऑब्जेक्ट को कंप्यूटर कहते हैं जिसमें टीवी की तरह स्क्रीन होता है, एक तो बहुत सारा की लगा हुआ कीबोर्ड होता है, एक माउस की तरह उसमें वो पॉइंटिंग डिवाइस होगा, बिजली से चलेगा, उसमें कैलकुलेशंस होगा, ये सारा चीज आपने बता दिया कि उसमें क्या क्या इंग्रेडिएंट्स होंगे, कैसा दिखाई पड़ेगा वो, और वो क्या क्या कर सकेगा। अब जिसने भी नहीं देखा है कंप्यूटर, कंप्यूटर का मॉडल या कुछ भी मिल जाए उसको, अगर वो वैसा दिखे तो ये कंप्यूटर है। तो हर ऑब्जेक्ट का एक डेफिनेशन है इन टर्म्स ऑफ इट्स मेथड एंड प्रॉपर्टीज। जब भी आप किसी ऑब्जेक्ट के बारे में बोलते हैं तो उसका एक डेफिनेशन देते हैं ऑब्जेक्ट का। डेफिनेशन में हम ये बताते हैं कि उस ऑब्जेक्ट के क्या क्या प्रॉपर्टीज हैं, उस ऑब्जेक्ट का क्या क्या रेस्पॉन्सिबिलिटीज है, और कोई भी एक्स आइटम is following the set of those properties and responsibilities, you tell that this particular object is, this particular item is this object. कैसे कभी कभी कोई टीचर बोल देते हैं तू गधा है, क्यों? इसलिए कि गधा हैज सम कैरेक्टरिस्टिक्स एंड प्रॉपर्टीज डिफाइंड. When someone is told you are Gadha, that means that some of the characteristics of Gadha is there in you, so you are called that. So यहां पर टेक्निकल टर्म में हम बात करें, ऑब्जेक्ट डेफिनेशन या ऐसे कहें कि डेफिनेशन ऑफ अ टास्क, सी ये हो सकता है कि शुरू में आपको ये सारा चीज लगे कि पढ़ाना है जावा और हम ये क्या भाषण दे रहे हैं, तो एक्चुअली दीज थिंग्स आर philosophical approach of learning a computer language. In class 6 and 7 you also studied computer language, but this much detail was not discussed because इतना सोचने की शक्ति नहीं होती है. But now you are growing and your thinking ability has been developed, so you know this approach, why you are learning and what way you are learning. So this approach of this philosophical approach of learning a computer language you must know, then only you will be able to justify that why you are learning this and in what way you are learning this. कंप्यूटर लैंग्वेज या जावा लैंग्वेज लर्निंग में आगे के दिनों में बस इतना ही होता रहेगा कि भैया दिस इज द कमांड, इट इज इट्स वे ऑफ यूजिंग, यूज दिस कमांड टू डू दिस वर्क, दिस विल बी द ओनली वर्क. बट व्हाई, इन व्हाट वे, what is the reason behind it? For all these things, it is necessary to keep this philosophical approach of computer programming and philosophical approach of learning the language. So definition of a task. That the task will possess will have what set of properties and what set of methods. ये क्या है मैंने पहले लिख दिया है, methods is called a class. जाति, common noun, हर कॉमन नाउन is a class, and an instance of that common noun is a proper noun. जैसे human being is having certain set of characteristics, certain set of responsibilities defined. Rahul is a human being. Rahul is a proper noun. Rahul has a particular name. Now, once Rahul is declared as a human being, that means everything defined for the human being is seen in Rahul. आप तो देवता तुल्य हैं. Then whatever the characteristics of devta is defined is in you. You are an instance of that particular definition. When a declaration is made according to the class definition, it is called object. So wherever I am underlining, they all are technical terms in any object-oriented programming language, whether you talk about Java or Python or whatever the language you are using. In all those languages, these are technical terms and applicable in the same way. These definitions are applicable exactly in the same way in different other programming languages also. Class and object and its method and its properties. So let us conclude today's class. Today I discussed the necessities, the aspects which are necessary to learn a particular computer language or a particular language. That vocabulary is there to learn, that represents different objects and actions. And second, the grammar is necessary to learn, that tells about the way of rules of synthesizing the words to make a meaningful sense. Second, this is the first thing. And since Java is a computer language, for learning Java also you have to learn about different words used in Java and the syntax according to which the words are combined to write a particular task. First thing. Second, I told, since Java is an object-oriented programming language, it is necessary to learn the object-oriented programming approach. And for that, I told you that as object is synthesized by the hierarchy of sub-objects, in the same way in Java programming language, a task is also considered synthesized and composed of different subtasks. And also, as an object has a set of properties and methods, properties and responsibilities associated to it. Similarly, when you talk or when you consider a task as an object, then task has also certain set of properties and certain set of methods. So at the time of defining a task, it is necessary to tell what will be the properties of the task, what will be the methods of that task. So this definition of task is called a class. In Java programming language, without class, nothing is there. You have to define a class for writing a computer program. So task is the definition of, class is the definition of a task. And when you go for using, you have to declare something according to the class defined. So this declaration is called an object. So that's all today. And this page which I wrote, I will put in the group. I think the previous pages also I have not put in the group. I will put that also. So you will keep them. And again, I repeat, making the write-up of your own according to the definitions or according to the description I gave today is necessary. So after this session, it will be good for you to make the summary of today's description, today's lecture in your own words. If parents are also viewing, please insist your children to write in their own words for the today's discussion. Second thing is that this video is available on net later on also. So those who have not seen, you can refer this video later on also and get the things understood. So thank you for joining the class. That's all.